Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Talk Football Live. Uh, Thank you for following us. Thank you for all your viewership and comments and likes and all that. We really appreciate you. I think we had an excellent World Cup talk show, and now the season is back in Europe. There are lots of leagues that are resuming after the World Cup breaks. I know players are still enjoying and having a fun time and getting ready to return back to their employer. So we're looking forward to having a full team coming back. I know the Scottish League kicked off already, but we're here today to talk about the EPL restart and kind of just touch on one or two other teams outside of the EPL.
Yeah.
And our agenda today, thank you for being here, Minga Ayo. It's going to be a fun time. We're
Hello.
going to discuss the EPL restart. We're going to talk about players that have returned, players that are expected to miss due to other reasons. Injury, suspension, maybe gambling. Just trying to take a dig at Ivan Tony and what the possible lineup could be. Then number two, we're probably going to look into what teams have benefited and what teams have not benefited from the World Cup. Then lastly, we're going to take predictions. I know we don't like predictions. I don't like either. I had some very bad predictions during the World Cup. So we're going to look into the prediction for each of the games. As you can see on the screen, thank you for flashing that. That's a list
Yeah.
of the games that we're expected to have and enjoy the Christmas. It's an holiday season. I want to wish you guys Merry Christmas. I want to wish you happy holidays. And as we do that, while you're having the fun time with your family and friends and enjoying the meal and drinks, I know you also be tuning in into the games and watching as well. So today we're going to go through these games. I'm just going to kick off with Wenger, who is actually having a fun time, which is our ugly sweater. But today's not a context, so no prize, no gift for you. But I'd like
Well,
to kick
I
off with you. Then
just just admit it. I beat you guys all to it. Look, I
okay,
came
all right.
ready.
I didn't get the memo, so that doesn't count. So I'm going to kick off with you. Let's talk about the EPL restart. Tell me what players have returned, and I'm going to just go through each of the lineups here. Brentford Spurs. What are we looking at? Who's going to take this one? What possible lineups are you looking at? Uh, I don't know. What's your take on Brentford Spurs?
So I know Brent, at least sports in particular, had at least a few players that went to the World Cup, the likes of Harry Kane, Son. Who else is on that team that was at the World Cup? So
Loris,
Bentancur.
Lloris,
Bentancur.
Bentancur, like they had quite a number of players that were at the World Cup. So it seems like some of them might be back already. Son, I don't know if Son is back, but it really depends on who they have back because a key or like keys of their core players were at the World Cup, and really my hunch says that if they have all of their World Cup squad back, we're going to have the same regular setup that we would have in their regular games. And prediction wise, I think like Spurs might take this one, maybe 1-0 or 2-0. Hopefully, my crystal ball is still working from the World Cup time.
Your crystal ball from the World Cup. Okay, let's see if you're
Uh,
still charming. Ayo, what do you think? Brentford Spurs.
yeah,
What should we expect?
I think I'm going to lean towards Spurs as well. It's going to be a spicy one, as we know. Ivan Tony has been charged, with all kinds of manners of charges regarding to or related to gambling. So he'll be available though. He's been cleared to play. He's still allowed to train and play, is what we've heard. For Spurs, though, I think they're going to have a lot of their World Cup players back. The only player that we know is out for sure is Hugo Lloris, who will be sitting out. Conte said Fraser Foster will be starting in goal definitely against Brentford. Richarlison is of course injured. He got a hamstring injury during the World Cup, but I think everybody else is back. Kulusevski came back just before the break, and he's been training and playing. Harry Kane, I believe, is also back in training. Son Heung-min as well. So I think a lot of their core players are back, and it's going to be a spicy one.
Yeah, quick one.
Do I have to give a prediction?
Yeah. I think you're leaning towards Spurs, but if you
Yeah,
don't
I'll
mind,
say 2-1 for
what's the
Spurs.
scoreline? 2-1
2-1
for
for
Spurs,
Spurs.
right? Beating
Yeah.
Brentford in front of their crowd. That must
Yeah.
have been kind of like an Arsenal magic that we did a few months ago. I noticed you flashed the update on Thomas Frank, right? Do you
Yeah.
think the extension of Thomas Frank's contract will play anything into this game? It's been extended to 2027, and I think that's great for Brentford with what we've seen them build from last season into this season.
I think it's more a continuation of the plan they've had in place. He's been there for a while, brought them up through the leagues, and they have a long-term plan that I think they've had in place with the scouting technique that they have that is based on numbers and how they've managed to scout players from lower leagues. So I think it's just a continuation of that plan. I don't think Thomas Frank has done anything to tell them that they won't be successful with the plan that they've put in place for a few years now. So I think it's just a continuation. I don't see it having a significant effect one way or the other.
Okay. But Gary, real quick, I know your prediction is for Spurs 2-1, right? Do you want to change your prediction? Do you think Conte might have a tough time dealing with this Brentford team that didn't lose anybody to the
No,
World Cup,
no, no,
and also with their
no.
manager being encouraged with a new contract?
So I think for me, it's beyond, you know, two things have been working for Spurs. They've had more players that have been active, right, over the last several weeks because of the World Cup games. I think that will play into fitness. And two, for the players that were not active, I think, um, the coach will have had a good time working with them, like, over the last several weeks to at least make sure that they fit into the general team. And knowing Conte, I think it's going to be a game of the coach, right, versus much more of like, how fit both sides are. But then with, Spurs having an edge in the fact that they've had more players that have, played competitive, football in the last, several weeks that will play to their advantage. So I stick with
Okay,
my prediction here.
so still making a real
2-1.
for Spurs, and all right, okay,
Yeah.
same score line. I think Ayo was in between 1-0 and 2-1, but you ended up going with 2-1 win for
Yeah.
Spurs, right? All right. Let's move on, guys. Crystal Palace, Fulham. I'll start with you, Hayo. Who's going to take this one? You know, did World Cup benefit anybody? I know Mitrovic was out. He played for Serbia, and I think his
Mhm.
back was still injured. What's your thought on this one, Crystal Palace, Fulham?
Yeah, so I think Mitrovic is a doubt. They said Anthony Robinson as well is a doubt. This is a tough one as well because Fulham depend a lot on Mitrovic to finish a lot of the work that they do. And for that reason, I think I'm going to go with Palace taking this one. Zaha is in form. The last game they beat Real Valladolid. He scored both goals in a 2-1 win there. They have had a patchy run of form before that, but I think Vieira has had some time to work with the boys. They went down to Turkey for training, and I think this will be a game for Palace to take. I'm gonna go a 2-1 win for Palace in this game as well.
All right. Bring anything to add to that?
So
You
this
agree with
this
Tayo?
I'm a bit torn on this one. A part of me wants to give it to Crystal Palace because they are home and they are also in a better form. But a part of me also says Fulham is not like a high conceding
Sure.
side as well, even though they don't have Mitrovic, at this. So I'm leaning towards like a 0-0 for this
Hmm.
game, right?
Like a
Like that's
draw.
yeah, a draw. No,
All
not
right.
just a
We'll
draw,
see.
like no goals. Like
No goals, right?
yeah,
No
Because that
goals.
would be Mitrovic,
yeah.
and we think Zaha might not convert, or you think any of the, or you
I
think
think Fulham's
are you Jordan, are you
Fulham.
won't be able to get something on the scoreboard?
I think they're not strong enough for like the Fulham defense, right? Like I feel like they'll be able to contain them.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
We shall see. All right. Moving on, guys. Leicester, Newcastle. Uh, Brendan Rodgers versus the man of the
Hmm.
moment. I actually call him the man of the moment because I think he's the best coach in town, and I'm worried even
Hmm.
as an Arsenal fan. Benga,
Did
I'll
you
kick this
did
off
you
with
just
you.
skip?
Leicester.
Did you
All
just
right,
skip
forget what I said.
Everton?
Forget what I said. Focus on okay, I think I'll come back to Everton Wolves, right? But since
Yeah,
I
let's
since I started with Leicester and Newcastle, let's just go.
So okay, so
Benga,
that was a
Leicester,
deliberate
Newcastle.
action. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm giving it to Newcastle.
Okay.
I
Why?
give it to Newcastle.
Prediction.
Look, they've been a team on the rise, right? Pre World Cup, the games, right? They've shown up that they are here to compete and they have their eyes on the top four. I think that alone is enough motivation for them to go in and do justice to Leicester. Yeah, I hear you on Brenda Rogers, but I think Newcastle got this one. And I'm thinking 1-0 or 2-0 Newcastle.
Hmm.
1020 Newcastle.
1-0 or
Regardless, no
2-0
goes,
Newcastle.
no goes for Leicester. I need to send this to
No, no,
Vardy.
nothing for Leicester.
I need to let Kelechi knows that no goes for them, and Newcastle will probably come and demolish them. Ayo, change of hearts, or you stick
You
with
know,
Wenger on this?
with all the lineups we've looked at, I feel like all the fixtures are so evenly matched that it's almost difficult to call. Leicester, we know they were on excellent form before the break. They started off the season badly, but they were able to recover. Danny Ward, I think, kept several clean sheets. They were barely conceding before the season took a break. And Newcastle, of course, we've seen what they've done so far this season.
Okay,
Where is it going to come apart? I think this is going to end in a draw. I'm thinking a 1-1 or a 2-2 draw.
1-1 or a 2-2 draw. All right.
Yeah.
Before I move on, I just wanted to call out something, right? Because we talked about, what teams have benefited and what teams have not from the World Cup. Do you think that Leicester had additional help to get the team into the shape and into the way they would like to play? Brendan Rodgers struggled. As a matter of fact, I thought he was going to be the first one to be fired. He wasn't. And I think the club was very, very patient with him and is still on the job and has been able to start turning things around. As he finally turned the curve, as the break benefited him to keep going in the right direction and to get his well ready against a very top team, Newcastle, for the last two seasons that we've seen. The World Cup, they missed their main guy in the midfield, Guinares, to the Brazilian squad. Is it coming back with disappointment or is it coming back energized? What do you think? 30 seconds. Benga, go first.
So I don't know if they've turned the corner.
Okay.
I think what helped them is the fear of relegation.
Okay.
Right. I don't think we've seen enough matches after they came out of the bottom three to justify whether they've turned the corner or not. I don't know if it's what the coach is doing that made that feels like have them get those good results that they got towards the tail end of the mid-season cut. I'd love to see more matches, right? To form an opinion on whether it was a fluke or actually things have changed. On the question on whether it got help or not, that question, so I cannot answer it, right? Until we see them play a few more matches, maybe two, three more matches, I can then have an opinion.
Awesome. Ayo, your
Yeah,
turn.
from my perspective, so if we recall, right, Leicester started off the season with a lot of problems. They had Fofana, who got sold to Chelsea, who was angling for a move. There was a lot of question mark about Tillemans, whether Tillemans was going to stay or go on. Vardy, as we know, is not the Vardy that we saw 4, 5, 6 years ago, right, where he was scoring several goals. He's still an excellent player. So they've been working on trying to find a replacement for Vardy. There were a lot of questions in the back. And I think now they've been able to settle. We know Brendan Rodgers is a good coach, but any coach faced with the kind of problems that they started out, the doubts that they had in the beginning of the season, I think would have struggled. And I think they found a way to be stable now. Whether that's enough to keep them moving into the top half of the league is a different question entirely.
All right. So the
Also,
third
remember
team,
they lost to Michael.
Yeah.
that's right.
Yeah.
So third team versus 13th place team. Ayo is giving it a draw. You guys giving it a win to Newcastle. I want to go back to Everton Wolves, right? Lampard
Yeah.
versus the new coach coming in for Wolves. They have players, that went to the World Cup. I think they are back. Who's going to take this one? Or you think it's also going to be a draw? Ayo.
Everton for me. I think Wolves have had a lot of problems this the beginning of the season as well. I don't think they found a way to recover that. You might recall they sacked their manager, and this is Julian Lopetegui's first game in charge, which he's had some time. I think they hired him at the right time. He had about a month to work with the team and get to know the players. But it's his first time in the EPL. I think it might come a bit too soon for him. Everton seem to have found some form right before the break, and I think they might carry that into a 1-0 win here.
All right,
Yeah,
Miguel, what do you think?
I would agree with Ayu on this one. I think for me, it's surprising what's happening to Wolves. Like the Wolves of last season was like, what do you call it? What we had in the World Cup for Morocco, where it's like it was a wall. It was hard for you to kind of, to score goals against them. But this season, it seems like there's something wrong with that wall. Whether it was destroyed by something, I can't tell. But yeah, the new coach will need some time, so I'll give it to Everton on this one. But in terms of goals, I don't see it as a high scoring one either. So maybe like a 1-0 or a 2-1 Everton.
Okay. All right. Well said, guys. Thank you. Let's go to Southampton, Brighton. Brighton has a World Cup winner on that team. Isn't that surprising to anybody? Not trying to take a dig at the guy. I think it worked well. He had a very good work rate. I wouldn't mind seeing him play for my club. But Ayo, tell me, Southampton, Brighton, who is going to take this one?
Brighton, and Brighton.
It's going to be a bright sunny day for Brighton.
So Southampton also, so Southampton have been struggling, right? They fired Ralph Hasenhuttl just before the break. This is Nathan Jones' first game in charge. Brighton, we've seen the work that they've done through the season. Even when Graham Potter left, they carried on from right where he left off, which we're able to see that 4-1 win over Chelsea. Some of the work that he's had there is still carrying on. I don't think McAllister is back yet. He's been given 2 weeks off, but I think Brighton will still take this. It will be a 2-0 win for Brighton.
2-0 win.
So Hayo, I hear you, but I think Welbeck, Webster, McAllister are actually key to the Brighton side, right? But I'm a bit torn on this one. Southampton is not a team that you can, you know, like pull your betting money on because they've been very disappointing. You just lose your money. But occasionally, when you don't expect it, they just show up, right? So it'll be interesting to see how the absence of McAllister, Webster, and
Welbeck.
Welbeck will play for the Brighton staff side. The reason I'm struggling with kind of putting this on Brighton immediately is because even though Brighton is, high intensity, high scoring side, they're also prone to conceding, right? And if Southampton has a good day, right, on Monday, they might pull it out. So, yeah, my biggest side of the bet is on Brighton, but I won't be surprised if something, a different result comes up. If Southampton draws this or pulls it out.
So what's your prediction?
Yeah,
you only told us where your heart is, where your head is. So what is your prediction? Try to dribble us now.
I don't know. Like I'll give it to Brighton.
Brighton.
But I won't put a number of goals. I'll just give it
to
Brighton.
Maybe we should be taking some wisdom from a guy that knows very much about what Southampton did to Chelsea in August.
Yeah,
I guess you guys have forgotten it was a 2-1 with Southampton.
Did you have to rub it in?
I'm just saying that we can borrow some wisdom from a guy that.
Yeah, Christmas chair. I'll be kind.
Let the past be the past. Right? We're in a new, part of the season, so a fresh start for everyone.
Okay, all right. We're going to come to Chelsea, and you'll probably hear you talk about that. All right, guys. Let's go to Aston Villa, Liverpool. This is the return of the guy that once coached the Gunners. This is a Liverpool team that just lost to City 2 days ago. They had some players out. They've been dealing with a whole lot of injury. This has not been the best season for Jurgen Klopp. This is Aston Villa that is riding on that feeling of a new coach. They're going to be home, and it's hard time to work with the players. Who takes this one and why?
What do you think, Beto?
For the fact that I'm sitting in this great role today, facilitating and moderating, I think the questions come from me and you get to respond. So, Ayo, give me your thought. Aston Villa, Liverpool. Who takes this one
We're
and
going to
why?
start getting your own predictions.
All right, maybe next
Liverpool
show.
Liverpool is going to take this. I think we saw them in midweek, right? And I was telling you guys, it looked like they just used that Carabao Cup game just as a competitive friendly to get themselves ready for EPL. So Liverpool have recovered, right? They had a shaky start to the season where they were losing games left and right. The imbalance that was caused by Mane's departure and the subsequent injury to uh, what's his name, the Colombian guy.
Um,
His name skips my mind. Anyway,
Nunes. You're not talking
no,
about
not
Nunes.
Nunes. Anyway, the
All
guy
right, keep
who
going.
came into and anyway, yeah. So they struggled at the beginning, but I think they found a balance with their new formation where they have Salah and Nunes playing up front together. That worked well again for them in midweek against Man City. We saw Nunes, who actually was surprisingly fast. He outpaced Laporte to supply that pass through to Salah for the second goal. Much quicker than I give him credit for than I thought it was. So I think this will be a match where Liverpool continue the work that they started, just before the break, where they were able to find a balance. And I expect them to take a 3-1 win against Villa.
Oh wow, Emery conceding
yeah,
3 goals. That would be fun. Bingo.
They don't
a-
have
actually,
Martinez.
yeah,
Okay. All right, we
actually,
shall
yeah.
see.
Liverpool is currently bruised. It's a pity
Mm.
Aston Villa will have to bear the brunt of that bruise. So I'm actually predicting 4-0
Wow.
Wow,
Liverpool win. Yeah,
that's
I
a
think
rout.
to Ayers' point, they're back and they are hungry. Like if you watch the midweek game, they are back and hungry. And it's unfortunate that Aston Villa will be the one to kind of first, experience that brutality from
Now,
them.
man.
Yeah, because I think they want to make a point that they can stay competitive and be back on the top. And yeah, so
Okay.
I will give it to them.
All right. I am not going to make any prediction. I'm just going to tell you guys and remind you that I thought Liverpool was back until I saw Leeds United go to
Mm.
Anfield and took a 3 points back home. It's been a pendulum swing for Liverpool. I will be too
Eh?
cautious to say they are fully back. But we shall say I think it's going to be an exciting game to look forward to. The last game for Monday, that is the Gunners versus West Ham. The Gunners will be hosting the West Ham team. I am going to start with the Chelsea guy. Benga, what do you think? I don't expect anything positive, but give me your take on this.
Of course, and I'm not going to disappoint you. Just because I have beef for Arsenal, Arsenal is losing this one. West Ham 1-0.
Okay.
And don't ask me for my reason.
Okay, all right. That's okay. That's good enough. We were expecting that. Hayo, tell me.
no,
Counter.
no explanation.
No explanation.
I
1-0 West Ham.
asking for more explanation would be too more pessimistic for me. So I'm just gonna move on. Hayo, Arsenal, West Ham. What's going on? What's
Yeah,
going to happen?
so
What do you think?
this is a
What's the lineup?
London derby. It's going to be a tight one. I think, like I said, all the fixtures on Monday look very equally balanced, except maybe the Liverpool game that we called. Both teams have their World Cup players back. I think the exception for Arsenal is Saliba. Saliba is back in training as of yesterday, from what we've heard, but it's questionable to see whether he will start. Holding has paired Gabriel in all the matches that Arsenal played in December. Of course, I'm maybe a bit partial towards Arsenal, so I'm going to say Arsenal is going to take a 2-1 win. The only missing player who we are all aware of and who was a key factor to our rise to the top of the league is Jesus. Nketiah, I think, will do an okay job. I don't know if he's the answer for us for the rest of the season. I'm curious to see what the team does in January, but I see Arsenal picking up right from where they left off. In the matches that I saw during the break, the core is still there. A lot of the principles that Arteta has instilled into the team is still there, and I expect them to continue that form against West Ham. They will dominate. Let's see whether it's enough to carry that 2-1 victory.
Yeah. So yeah,
Two
just
one
to kind
victory.
of to
Oh,
piggyback on
now
that.
you
Yeah.
have an explanation?
Now I have not an
Let's hear him out.
explanation. Not an explanation. My prediction still stands.
Okay.
I just want to kind of piggyback on what you said. I think this time around will be a true test of the Arteta's experiment, right? It's listen because I feel like the influence of Jesus is completely underrated, right? And his absence
Yeah.
now will prove if all of those core principles that you said still holds true. If there is still able to kind of put up the same level of performance and get the same type of results, then I will say yes. The Mikel Arteta's experiment has fully come to fruition because now
Mm.
we'll be independent of a player. It's just about the principles and the framework he has at least established for this team to kind of function on. So if the next two matches Arsenal is able to kind of at least get the same set of results that they got pre World Cup, I will be as bold enough to say I'll give the season to Arsenal, even though
Mm.
I don't like that, but it will just prove the point that they it wasn't a fluke, it wasn't just by one player, or it's based on the principle that he has established. So
Yeah.
All right, all
now
right, all
now
right.
now I'm generous, right? You didn't even say thank you for that.
Thank you, sir, for coming back and providing some clarity. You still don't owe my complete appreciation because you're still not calling it a win for us. But
I,
regardless, we're gonna,
I'm entitled to my opinion now,
well,
right?
and that's fine. I will respect your opinion, right? As an Arsenal fan, I think I'm worried for this game, and I think I agree with you that we've not really appreciated the inclusion of Jesus on our team, right? And I
Yeah.
think as an Arsenal fan, we all saw that during the friendly games, and we could see that we were missing such a guy. I'm hoping the other players will step up and fill the gap, and let's take our chances. West Ham has not been great. However, their last three games have been an improvement. Their last league game, they lost to Leicester City at home. I don't know if Rice can bring back that World Cup form that we saw, but even if he did, he's still going to play with the rest of the player. Moyes was a mentor and was a former manager to Arteta. Arteta would definitely want to prove a point. Moyes wants to prove that he's just old in age, but he's not old in the game. And he also want to, give us a very good test. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a little bit scary for me to
Yeah.
watch. It doesn't matter how beautiful the win is. I just want the win. I want the 3 points. It doesn't have to be pretty. I want the boys to go all out there and get the win. Because there's a much tougher game to worry about. This is probably an easy game that we should try and win. That wraps it up for Monday. I want to quickly
Yeah.
move on to Tuesday games. And I'm going to start with Chelsea Bournemouth, right? And I'm going to actually turn to Ayo because
Oh, come on
Wenger
now,
had his
come on now.
chance.
Let me
Wenger had
take
his
it
chance.
down.
Wenger has his chance to talk about us, right? So now this is Chelsea Bournemouth, right? Let's see what's going to happen. Bournemouth has not been great. Ayo, what do you think?
I mean, Chelsea haven't been great either under Graham Potter. So I think whereas on Monday we had a balanced set of fixtures. I think Tuesday's games we have maybe a lean in where Chelsea and Man U are going to be too strong for their opponents. In as much as I would like to give Chelsea a bad prediction, I think a match against Bournemouth is one that is maybe going to come too easily for them. I think your favorite ex-player Biodun might even get a goal in this one. But no, seriously though, Bournemouth have been conceding a lot. I think Potter will have had a month now to get to know the team better. As we know, he was brought in from the cold during the season. He had to go right away into matches. Probably didn't get a lot of time to work with the team. We saw a lot of the work he did at Brighton. Like I mentioned earlier, that work has carried on, and I expect he'll have had some time now to work with players and put some of those ideas into practice and get the teams, working according to his methods. I'll
Awesome.
take a Chelsea.
Chelsea win. Scoreline.
Not 3. 2-0 win. 2-0 win for Chelsea.
All right. Any additional thought before I go to Wenger on the players that were featured in the World Cup? Ziyech, Kovacic.
Yeah, so Ziyech and Kovacic are still out. I don't think they'll miss them that much. Havertz was out very early. He should be back in the team. So I think they have enough firepower up front.
And
Yeah.
you think this is an opportunity for the ex-Barcelona striker to play a key role since Broja is out due to ACL
Wait.
injury?
Can you give names? Give names. Why are you
I'm
using
going to
X?
get to Benga real
Is it
quick.
not
I
ex
just wanted to get
Arsenal
a
player?
I just wanted to get a 20-second
Yes,
response from
yes.
Mayo on the ex-Barcelona.
Aubameyang should get a goal in this one.
Okay, all right, great. Benga, your turn. Now you can respond to the
What?
ex-Barcelona striker.
Wait. What beef do you have for our player? I know you don't like
Uh,
him. Early was your player.
that
Ah,
this is a show that we talk about all great athletes, soccer stars, football
okay. What
stars
are
in
you
the
saying?
world. I think it's good for his level. I think it used to be great when he played for
Wow.
Arsenal.
It used to be
And I
great.
think he did well for Barcelona. It was just a surplus. It wasn't needed, and you guys
Uh,
needed help, and they
guess what?
landed in your place.
Guess what?
Give me the scoreline: Chelsea
We
Bournemouth.
we
We're not
make
talking
we
about the
we'll
ex-Barcelona
bring the
player. We're
best
talking
out
about
of your
Chelsea Bournemouth.
exes,
We shall
right?
see.
So we'll bring the best out of this one. So Ayo, I appreciate your generosity and hopeful, candor towards my team. But I'm not as hopeful.
Hmm.
Um, in the sense that I I still don't know if our coaches has really fully gotten a hang of how to use the key players we have. Um, one thing that actually gives me like a bright spot and maybe a ray of hope is that Reese is back.
Mhm.
Right? That might make a huge difference, like in terms of having his individual brilliance come to light to kind of create those chances and deliver those balls to that's your ex Arsenal player that you call ex Barcelona player. So yes, I think Aubameyang might get a goal. Um, if Reece kind of at least clicks in into into the team and deliver the ball. I'm still concerned that we have a couple of players out. Chilwell is out, Kante is still out, and of course our World Cup hero from the Moroccan wall, and Ziyech is still out for like in a couple of weeks. Those are key players that I would have loved to see back on the team. But yeah, not hopeful, but I'll still say because it's my team, I'll predict 2-0. I agree with Ayo.
So how do you think Chelsea is going to line up in this game?
Um,
Is he going to go with the same back three? Do you think he might try 4-2-3-1 or some variation of that?
So I think potentially we'll go with a back three, like 3-4-3 formation is what I'm, you know, predicting here. Just because of how he plays, like he likes this high intensity using the wing backs and things like that. So I would be surprised if he does something different than that. Especially because
Okay.
Rich is back, right? That gives him a bit of wiggle room to kind of at least be on the offensive rather than trying to kind of defend.
And not play Pulisic as a wide wing back.
Please don't mention that name.
All right, all right, all right. I think I'll agree with you that Chelsea might actually have an upper hand in this game. Thiago Silva should
Yeah.
be back. Koulibaly should be back. I think that defense line is great, and I think it's boosted by the return of James Reese. Hopefully, he's fully back. I'm not sure about that, but that's the news that we're hearing. I
Yeah.
think you have a great squad. I think you just need the manager to put all the ingredients together and serve everybody a very good meal. Not trying to serve us a meal in the first half that doesn't taste well and it tries to go back into the kitchen and remake it. That's what we've seen from Potter so far.
Yeah,
We
it's
hope
it's
that he
clueless.
can get his cooking skills together and serve us a very good meal that everyone will like from the very start to the end of the game. So, all right, moving
How,
on, moving on, moving on.
how do you use
Manchester United.
Pulisic as a right wing back?
Well, that should be an internal Chelsea conversation. I'm
God,
moving on to Manchester United, Nottingham Forest. Nottingham is at the bottom of the league. Manchester United is rising. They're doing very well. Casemiro is in form. CR7 is out. Rashford is on fire. Sancho is in there. Gamacho is coming as a young player. The midfield is
Yeah.
looking awesome. That defense is great with firepower from all this new introduction. I think man, you might take it. I don't know what you gentlemen have to say. Wenger, Manchester United, Nottingham Forest. Give me your
I
take.
think mind you, in this second half of the season is a team to look out for. Right. I think they've gotten back their mojo and they have the right squad with the right level of like what um, posture into kind of at least getting anything out of any other team right now, right? Like you said, they have a lot of good players that are in form right now, and this is going to be a walk a walkthrough for them. So I see this as a high scoring game for Man U, 3-0 maybe in favor of Man U.
All right, thank you. Hayo, what do you think?
Yeah, I think Mayu is back on form. Yes, CR7 is out, but he didn't feature that much, right? He wasn't a starter before he left, anyways. Martial is back again, a player that I like a lot, even though he's rarely fit. But the combination that we saw with him, Rashford, and Sancho in preseason, hopefully, if he stays fit, I think we might see some of that again in this fixture against Forest. I expect a big win for Man U as well. I think I watched one of their games recently, or the Carabao Cup during the game. I watched the highlights from that game. Rashford carried his form from the World Cup into that game, and he had a very good goal where he scored a solo run all the way from midfield. So I expect that to carry on into this game. 3 or 4 nil win. Forest have been very shaky at the back. Maybe not that big of a win, but I expect Man U to win this game nonetheless.
Awesome, awesome. Can you speak more to this news around the Anderson that is not eligible? What's the any
Yeah,
additional
so Dean
details or
Henderson is on loan from Man United, and
okay?
the rule in the Premier League is you are not eligible to face your parent club. So
Hmm.
Henderson will sit this one out.
Okay. Any last thought from you gentlemen around? I still don't get it. Nottingham Forest has bought the most player for this season. They basically
I think they bought like 26 players.
right? I mean, there are
Yeah.
rumors around maybe that's tied to some financial dealings. I don't want to get into that. That's not my place
Mm.
to talk about. What is going on? How do you get your owners and the board to keep spending? Nothing to show for that. This team actually go back to relegation. They might actually relegate and go back to the championship. But you keep spending money and bringing players. What is going on with Nottingham Forest?
When you say spending money, like how much do they spend again? Like
I don't
I
have the
don't think,
exact.
Oh.
yeah, I don't think it's about the number of players they're bringing in. It's the quality of players, right? It's like somebody bought a Ferrari and someone bought 20 Toyota Camry, and you're still comparing them, right? It's you will still
That's too
go.
much.
You will still go with a Ferrari because that will give you better results regardless,
Eh,
right? So,
Cameras
so
are very reliable.
well, they're reliable in at least on some leagues, right? You don't
Yeah.
like yeah. It's I think it's a question of the quality of players they're buying. It's not about just buying
So
players that's out
Jesse
there because
Lingard is not a good quality.
no, no,
Tawa
they have
Awoniyi,
it.
um,
They have a
you know,
few good players have bought, right? But then how do they fit into the general team, right? Like you dropped a few names that I think are great. Awin is great. Lingard is great, but who else is out there,
Emmanuel Dennis.
right? Dennis, I beg. That guy that boosted for which team against? Because forget that guy.
All
I
right,
don't have any
Ayo.
beef against Dennis, but I think the bottom line is this: there's a quality of the bench, right, that
Mm.
would speak to the results you get on the field, right? They have a good few hands, but like in totality, I don't think they have the bench depth to pull
Okay,
pull surprises.
thanks, Wing. So it's all about the quality, not how, not the quantity,
Not the
right?
quantity.
Ayo,
Mm.
Ayo,
Yeah, I
any
mean,
addition to that?
yeah, I totally agree with Binga. They bought a lot of players. I think something around 26, 27 players during the summer, which is unheard of, really, for an English Premier League team. And as we all know, it's usually hard to bring in 5, 6 new players and integrate them into your first team, not to talk of 20 something players. So I think they've struggled with that. We've seen some fantastic wins. The 1-0 win against Liverpool comes to mind. I don't see that happening against this Man U team, though.
Thank you for reminding our viewers and reminding even myself about that 1-0. That was the time I
Yeah.
said Liverpool was back. Liverpool got hammered by Nottingham Forest. Liverpool got hammered by Leeds United. That's
Yeah.
another reminder. Liverpool don't take it lightly with Aston Villa. Emery is a coach, he's a manager to watch out for. Now to the last game for the weekend, the restart of the EPL. Leeds United versus Man City, the back-to-back winners, right? What's going to happen? I kick off with you, Hayo. Give me your take on
Is
this
there
Leeds United Man
is there
City.
even, is there even a point reviewing this game? Man
Wait.
City.
So it's football,
So
brother.
we saw Man City against
Example.
Liverpool. I mean, we were
Yeah.
saying Liverpool looked good in that game, but Man City were just too strong. They have most of their players back. Haaland, who is scoring at an incredible rate like we've never seen before in the Premier League with 18 goals. I mean, we've seen top scorers. I remember, I think Giroud's best season at Arsenal was 18 goals, and we thought he had a fantastic season that year. Haaland has just done that in 14 games. We have 24 games to go. So
Wow. Incredible.
18
Incredible.
goals
Top
is
scorer.
a ridiculous amount. He's had some time to rest. We saw he was right back at it against Liverpool, scoring. De Bruyne is back. He played the full game. He's fit. The rest of the squad is there. Grealish is back. We saw Mahrez score a fantastic goal in that fixture as well. Laporte is back. I believe Stones and Diaz as well. I don't know if Ederson is back, but they didn't need Ortega too much either in that game. Well, I think they have more than enough to trouble Leeds. Leeds will have their high intensity game. We know what Jesse Marsh brings to the table. We've seen his work when he was at RB, and we've seen what he's done so far this, towards the end of last season and this season. But I think this Man City team will be too much.
So
All right. Thank you,
I,
Winger.
I actually have a different opinion on this game. I
Okay.
think this will be the wild card for the week. Yes, I agree that City is great, and they will score. But I think if you go back to the game against Liverpool during the midweek,
Mhm.
I think there are like potential loopholes in the City defense,
Okay.
especially when they're playing against another high intensity side, right? So it's a question of who gets more goals.
Mm.
I feel like Leeds will score, right? It might end up. I don't potentially see Man City losing, but I think it could be a draw, maybe like a 2-2 draw, a 3-3 draw. Um, that's my prediction. And if you go back
Yeah.
and see some of the games that City has lost this season, is that like not paying attention in defense because they get carried away when they're on the attack, and if you see it on the side that can do a quick counter or high pace stuff, they're gonna get goals against them, and not just one, a couple of goals as well. That's my thought. So I don't think it's gonna be a walk in the park for City on this one.
All right. Do we know whether Tyler Adams is allowed to play this game? I know he had a red card against Tottenham in his last game. Do we know that was a one-match ban? Is Tyler Adams allowed to play this game? Does anybody have
I
any
don't
updates
I
on
don't
that?
have an update
I
on
don't
that.
know.
Okay,
I
all
don't
right,
have an
all right.
update on
So
that
we'll,
either.
we'll we'll probably find out. But I agree with you both, gentlemen. I think it's going to be a cracker. I did see that thing with the Man City defense, the exact thing that killed them against Brentford. And you actually called it out, Ayo. That pace, that run against Laporte from Nunes, I was looking at them like, what's going to happen here? Now, we all know them, the way they push up a lot, right? Just like Liverpool, they push up a lot. And they rely so much on keeping the possession, right? So if you can get the possession away from them, which is what I think Leeds will present, Leeds too doesn't care too much about the defense. They care about we can match you, power to power, intensity versus intensity. I think it's going to be a cracker. It's going to also depend on some quality regarding conversion, right? We're going to be looking into maybe Bamford is fully back, maybe Rodrigo is fit. Tyler Adams had a very great World Cup outing. Jesse March is a great coach. He likes to play with that kind of intensity. I think he has his own name and brand that I think was to establish in the EPL coming from the Bundesliga. Um, they won't underrate City. At the same time, they won't be too afraid not to play their game. That's what I would see. And if I were the manager, I won't be telling them, you guys did it in Anfield. That was one of the most difficult stadiums to take 3 points. You did it there. You can keep Man City silent. Man City will go there with all confidence. I will just trash to Liverpool. I was still able to do this. That's the final game for the week. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching our show. We're looking and excited that the EPL is back. We're going to be, putting up more shows as we go through the games and the other leagues and the Champions League coming back. It's been a great football year. We actually started this show in the middle of the
Season.
year, and we
Yeah.
appreciate your viewership, your support, and comments. It's a new start and a slow start for us, but we're looking into a better future. We're looking into 2023, talking a lot more about football, doing a lot more analysis, and actually getting some guest appearances as we go. We hope it's going to be better than our 2022. We just want to appreciate you for your time. And I just want to
Yeah.
appreciate you guys for your time again today. Bring an Ayo. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Get to see you again. It's been a
Happy
wonderful
Click
talk.
holidays, everyone.
subscribe. Oh, let them click
And
Yes.
subscribe.
Like it,
26
please.
is
Like.
around the corner. I don't want to come back here sad and regretting what happened in West Ham. I hope it will take the 3 points. I hope Chelsea gets a draw. And I hope to see Charles and Benga here coming and, angry. I like to see angry faces. Thank you,
We'll
gentlemen.
see.
I'll see you in the new year. Happy New Year and
All
have a
right.
wonderful,
Yeah.
happy
See you
holidays.
guys.
Bye bye.